Hi, I'm Viv, and this is Art with Viv. So, welcome on in. I've got a nice exercise just to sort of break your boredom and get your creative juices flowing. I folded a piece of plain paper in half, I cut out a little butterfly shape, and then I just traced it onto my sketchbook. This is a sketchbook exercise. It's one I like to do when I just don't want to do like a really serious, involved painting. I also decided I was going to work on some color theory, so I've got my analogous colors. I've got orange, and then I've gotten yellow, and then I like a yellow-orange. Those are analogous. They're right beside of each other, 3 colors beside of each other on the color wheel, and that's going to be where I start. I'm just going to mix up my 3 colors, get those out here, and get those ready. This is a good exercise when you're really bored or you just can't think of anything to paint, but you want to paint something, just not something that's really complicated and intricate, just something to ease your mind, relax your brain, and get that creative juice flowing. So once I got all of those mixed up, all of those 3 colors, I'm just wetting my butterfly, and then I'm just going to drop in the colors in random ways. I'm just starting off with a little bit of the orange, and then I'm going to drop in some yellow, and then some of the darker orange, or I should say one is like a red orange, one is like a regular orange, and one is yellow. But I'm just dropping those in there, wet into wet, using that technique. And then I'm going even with some darker colors toward the center. And there's no rhyme or reason. You can just fill up all your butterflies however you'd like. Just wet them first, use that wet and wet technique, and just drop in whatever color you want to. Don't make this be like a lot of pressure on yourself. This is a fun, easy exercise, not anything scary, and it's just, just meant to sort of mindlessly paint and just make designs on each one of your butterflies there. I'm just dropping in the darker orange right onto that first wash of yellow. And that's all I'm doing. I'm just deciding how I want to make sort of little patterns on there. Nothing fancy. I'm going to come back later and make it even more patterns on there. But that's all I'm doing for right now, is just dropping in colors and, getting some patterns on there. Now they'll be, when they dry, since it's wet on wet, those patterns will be a lot fainter. They won't be as strong as they look now, because as the paint dries, it'll sort of spread out even further, so those patterns will look a lot softer. In that one, I just did a little bit of that orangish yellow color, and then I'm just dropping in plain yellow, and then right in the center of the yellow, I put in a little bit of that darker orange, and that just makes it look like little blossoms or little flowers all over the wing. If I had let that first initial wash dry just slightly so that the sheen was off of it, they would be even more pronounced. Those blossoms would be more pronounced. But like I said, I'm not trying to get too detailed or too hung up on how everything's going. I'm just painting with analogous colors, the same shape, just with different patterns, whatever comes to my mind. And this is just a really good exercise when you feel stressed, you don't know what to put on the paper. You can just use the same shape in a repetitive pattern that helps your brain get into sort of a little groove. Use a limited palette. Here I'm using analogous colors for the butterfly. And then just drop in the paint however you feel, or just put in some clean water. Drop that in and cause it to make, those little cabbages or blossoms or blooms, whatever you call them. I call them cabbages sometimes, or blooms. And just go all over, get all of those painted with whatever combination of your analogous colors. And you can use something different. You can use blues, purples, whatever colors you want. Just choose 3 colors that are beside of each other on the color wheel, and those are usually analogous colors in the same color family. So now I'm just putting in some yellow stripes while this darker orange is still wet. And like I said, I'm just doing whatever comes to mind. I did not plan this. This is just what do you call it? Intuitive creativity. Now I'm mixing up a nice sort of bluish purple. That would be the complementary color to some of these colors. Or you could go more blue. More blue would look pretty as well, like a turquoise blue, but I just went with a purple, a more purpley blue. And I am painting the background. And I'm doing a little section at a time, and I'm leaving a white channel or a white outline around the butterflies. So I'm not painting all the way up to the edge of the butterflies. I'm leaving a little white space between the purple and the butterfly. Two reasons I want that white space in there. I think it, gives it a little bit more of a designerly feel, and I do not want my purple to mix with any of my oranges or yellows that may still be wet. So that's why I am doing it that way. And I am just going around each butterfly just a little section at a time, trying to work fast because I don't want it to dry with hard edges. I don't want that blue, purpley blue background to dry with hard edges. So I'm working fast. I'm leaving a little bit of a white space, a little white border around each butterfly. And I am just connecting each little section of the background together. Even if it's just with like one little brush stroke, just connect them all together wherever you need to, just like that. And I really am enjoying this. It's just an easy exercise to help you get more creative when you don't know what to paint and you just want to do something. So this is a great sketchbook exercise, and it hits on analogous colors. It hits on just a little bit of color theory, a little bit of repeated patterns, things like that. So you are still thinking about some of the basic principles of art, but you're not overthinking it, and you're not getting too intense with it or too detailed with it. You're just having fun painting some butterflies however you want to. Now once you get that background painted, let everything dry, let the background dry, let each butterfly dry. And I've picked the same colors in my watercolor markers to match the watercolors that I used. So I've got a yellow orange, and more of a deeper orange. And I'm just outlining some of those designs, some of those blossoms, doing little circles, adding some extra lines on each one of the wings. Whatever moves me, that's what I'm doing. I'm also got a black marker, or fine liner is what it is, and I'm outlining each of the butterflies. I might outline some of the designs. So just whatever your little heart desires, just do it intuitively, whatever comes to your brain, and it will be so relaxing, and you will come up with just a really pretty pattern when you're finished. Now I'm taking a white Posca marker, and I'm darkening up some of those little white borders. Got a little janky looking, so I'm just taking my white Posca pen and thickening up some of those white borders around the butterflies. Again, I'm just picking different colors of the 3 pens, just whichever one I think would go well, outlining some of the patterns, just giving a little outline so that it's a little bit more pronounced and you can see it a lot better, and just really letting my mind wander as I do this, just however I think it's going to look good. So now I'm just sort of drawing that off and marking that area off, and then I'm just going to go back in there, and I am going to color in between each one of these little dots. That just gives it another pattern on top of the pattern of the butterfly. So whatever comes to mind, that's what I'm going to do. Just using my watercolor markers, my black fine liner, and a white Posca pen. So I'm going to be quiet, and I'm going to let you watch as I design the rest of these butterflies, and I will be back with you shortly. Don't be shy about whatever comes to your brain. Just put it down there. Don't stress yourself out. It is easy. You can always start over. That's why I call this a sketchbook exercise. You can just turn the page if this one doesn't come out the way you want to and start again on another page in your sketchbook. Don't be shy about using your Posca pen. You could even use some wax-based colored pencils. You could use some watercolor pencils if you would like. I just chose to use my watercolor markers, but you can use whichever one you want. You can use a fat or a thin fine liner, black fine liner. Put some dots on there, draw circles, whatever comes to your mind. Just let your creativity flow. It doesn't matter. This is just an exercise, and it's just to get you thinking about color schemes, patterns, repetition, unity. The way that we're achieving unity, of course, is through using the analogous. I can't even talk right now. My tongue is getting wrapped around my eye teeth and I can't see what I'm saying. But the analogous colors, and then at the end using a complementary color as the background. So you're just thinking about all this, but you're really not. I mean, it's not a forced thing. It's just an easy, okay, let me pick out my colors. Let me pick out my background. Just let me repeat a pattern over and over. Then let me decorate each one of my butterflies like I want to. So it's not stressful, but you're still thinking about these things. You're still thinking about things that will help you when you want to do what we call a serious painting. And you're learning as you go what colors look good together, how the patterns play off of each other, how repetition works if you do a repeating pattern. So you're really getting a lot from this really simple exercise. But at the end of the day, just let that flow out of you. Don't stress about thinking about it too much. Just pick your shape, pick your colors, and then go crazy with your patterns, however you want those to be. And use whatever mixed media you want. I just chose to use watercolor, Posca pens, fine liners, and watercolor pens. Now I decided I want some movement on that background. Now, this is optional. I just wanted it in there. So I'm just kind of tracing around the background and just doing lines right next to each other, just layers of lines. And that sort of gives it a little bit of movement or rhythm, which is another one of those elements of art, of design. Movement, rhythm, pattern. We're just getting all of it in here today, but that's what I did. You can leave yours solid if you would like. Do dots on the back of it. Do hatch marks on the back. I just decided to do these contour lines. I think they do a lot for the movement, and it just gives it a little extra rhythm to it. So there we go. I don't know, and there's something about it. I don't know. I'm just going to add a little bit more of the white Posca, and just to brighten some of that white up. The thing about the Posca is that watercolor does seep into it while it's wet, so it doesn't come out pure white when you're putting it over top of watercolor. You might have to do a couple of passes of that, a couple of layers of that to get it as white as you want. And then I'm just adding some color here and there. Like I said, just whatever strikes your mind, do it. Just do it to see how it looks. It doesn't have to be perfect. This is a good exercise just to let yourself flow into creativity and do that intuitive painting. Just wherever your mind goes to. And there's no right or wrong way to do this. You can't mess it up. Now, I decided that I did not like the outlines. They were not strong enough, the black outlines. So I went and got a size B fine liner from my fine liner. And I decided to go ahead and darken up those lines, and I'm so glad I did. That just helps them pop out, gives it a little extra punch and a little bit more of a designerly feel. So yeah, I'm glad that I made that decision. I said, well, I'm going to go ahead and film that too, because I let it sit for a little while and then I came back to it and I was like, no, I need heavier, darker lines. That would make me happy. And that's what I have done. And I think it made a really big difference It really defined each one of those butterflies. I also added some black outlines, black designs on the inside of their wings, darkened up some of their bodies with that black. And yeah, I'm really pleased. I'm glad that I decided that I needed a little bit stronger black outlines. Now, it's up to you. You don't have to do this. It just suits the way that my brain works and how I think it looks good. Now, if you liked your fine line, stick with those. That's fine. It's just, a matter of preference, a matter of style. I don't know if you can hear Darcy snoring, but he's underneath snoring sounds like a little piglet. He's so cute. And yeah, I'm really happy with that decision. Sometimes you just need to leave your work sitting and come back with fresh eyes, and that's what I did, and I decided to darken up those outlines, and I think that it was a good decision. Also, just trying to clean up some of those white borders that I kind of lost as we went on. So I cleaned those up with my white Posca pen, and there you go. A quick and easy exercise just to get your creative juices flowing and, something to do when you're bored. I hope you've enjoyed this. Thank you for watching, and a big shout out to my patrons. Thank you for being so patient this week with me getting a little late on my video. All right, I'll see you soon.